Good Thursday. I hope everyone's had a good week so far. That you're here. That's nice. I have I think I have a slight cold or something coming on. My whole body's just shivering, and the rest of the family have been sick. But it should be fine today. So if I get problems talking, that's why. Hey, Amelie, nice to see you. Otherwise, I'm really good. I've had a good day, and I'm excited about today. We're actually doing something new today. I was saying before that. Hey, Stephen, nice to see you as well. Thursdays will be the day where we try on different breathing techniques. Since I personally don't do that much breath work, and I'm not actually sure if this would be counting as breath work, but it is a kind of forced breathing where you don't breathe normally. And they have their uses, because I am more into the whole practice of using meditation as a way to train the mind to be able to see what you're experiencing and to experience these distortions, as I call them. And from that, choose to live a happier life. Choose to live a life where you enjoy being alive. Not as a technique to manifest things or to even make you calm in a way. I mean, making you calm can have its uses. This technique is specifically made to make you calm. And it is one of the best breathing techniques that I ran into to do this. And I actually, it's if there's one breathing technique I do regularly, it's this one. I do it if I wake up at night, and I have, as I've said, I had my herniated disc in my neck, and basically I'll wake up and I'll be tense as a bow, ready to shoot an arrow, sweating and just really being super warm. And this technique helps with, how should I put it, tuning everything down. It really helps with just calming you down. So we'll go through a little bit of the history behind it and how to do it. It's something that is called, in general terms, it's called box breathing, but it's also been called, I think it's called tactical breathing. I've heard stories of Navy SEALs using it, police officers, who use this as a technique to stay focused and calm themselves down in difficult situations. And he really excels at that, in doing that. That's exactly what he does best. The history of it, from what I know, it comes from the yogic traditions. And I think it's called, I can't remember the exact yogic name, is something like fluctuating breath or something. It's something that's been done for a long time. And the way that it differs from what we normally do, normally we breathe and we just let breath happen by itself. We don't try to control our breath. As soon as you start controlling your breath, you're introducing something artificial into your way of experiencing reality, which can be very useful, but it can also be, I almost said unuseful, detrimental is too harsh of a word. It affects your way of perceiving reality. So the advantage of it is pranayama. Pranayama is, I think that's, I wish Marlene was here. I think she'll come back later. She's putting the kids to sleep. Pranayama, I think, is the general term for any kind of breathing technique in yogic traditions. I think. You'll have to Google that. Otherwise, we'll ask her if she comes in, depending on how quickly the kids fall asleep. It has a specific name. So there's different ways of controlling our breath. Some, like the one we've been doing, harmonic breathing, where we try to synchronize with the heart rate variability, where we breathe in 4 and we breathe out 6. So then you have a longer in-breath. There's no pauses in between the breaths. And then you breathe out, a shorter in-breath and a longer out-breath. That creates a different kind of rhythm in the body. Box breathing is very simple, and it's super easy to remember. It's like in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, and then you just keep going in a box. Let's see, Amelie, I really liked the meditation we did last time. I did it again yesterday. Oh, that's nice to hear. Yeah, that's the advantage. Okay, so I'm very happy you say that, because those kind of meditations require a bit more from you. You need to be present. You need to go in and look what's happening inside of you. With controlled breath, that kind of takes over and controls you, which is why a lot of people like them, because that means that you don't have to do anything. Oh, I guess meditation started. You don't have to do the main grunt of the work, because it's actually the technique that is doing that, for better and for worse. The advantage of that is that they can be really useful for getting you very focused. Some of them get you really calm. Some of them quiet the mind. Some of them will get you super energized. There are breathing techniques where you get really warm, so if you're cold, they will heat you up. There are techniques where you try to vibrate, and there's all kinds of ways of using the breath as a gateway to kind of change the state of your body. But what they do is that the meditation we did on Monday, hey Payal Taneya, how does it feel to come back to usual life from a monk life? I'll get back to that question later. That's a good question. Oh yes, the meditation we did Monday, what that is really good at is making you really come here to where you are now and experience, what am I doing right now? How am I distorting to the world around me? Am I at peace, in harmony with what's happening around me and inside of me? And is really good at helping you find that space where you can just exist and enjoy being there. Basically, it helps you make the choice of being happy to be here. When we do any kind of breathing technique like we're going to do now, then we force the breath to do specific things, and with that comes an energy. It usually makes you more energized. So it can be, I actually did a breathing that I always did for a while, where I did I'll show it another time, but I was breathing really, really fast, and it got me very, lots of energy. And then when I stopped, there was this energy behind me. So it was easier to then go into that meditation, because it would quiet the mind, it would take away lots of the distractions, and I could then start the meditation like we did Monday. So this technique is not energizing like that. This is more soothing, calming, and is really good for calming down anxiety, stress, and make you just calm. We'll do other techniques later that do increase the energy that you feel. And a lot of people think that, oh, this is it, because they feel so alive. It's really like, you feel very powerful. You feel like you're really in control of your destiny, and it makes you feel very powerful. And that can, of course, be very seductive. And you might think that, oh, that's the thing. I just want to feel like this the whole time. It's just that you cannot do that the whole time, because you'll pass out. So you can do that and bring that into your daily life every now and then. And that's why they're useful. As I said, I've never felt that I really needed it. I haven't felt that it was something I needed to do on a regular basis. But I think it's fun to do it. I think it's useful to do it. And I did, as I said, for a while, I did a short breathing exercise before, because I noticed that it really got me energized, and that was nice to do while I was in periods when I felt lethargic or slow. When you start meditating more, especially when you meditate many hours per day, you'll go into these cycles that happen where you'll sometimes feel really energized and it's so easy to sit, and then other times you're lethargic and you just want to go to sleep, and other times you'll feel very sad, like the dark night of the soul, and other times you're just equanimous the whole time. So you'll go through different things, and in different stages it can be useful to use breathing techniques. You see, Amelie's asking, does this style of meditation have a name? Yeah, I think it's pranayama, or breath work. So pranayama is again, we'll have to ask Marlene, or if someone knows in the chat or can Google it. Pranayama, I think, is the general term in the yogic tradition for breathing meditation where you control the breath. Breath work is, actually I have to look up where that comes from, but that's a more of a modern term. When I was a monk, I almost never heard that used. There's so many things that have been popularized in the last decade that it was just not used very much when I was ordained. Same as with non-duality, has become super big. I mean, it's always been around, but it's kind of been, it was never as big as it is now. So I think those traditions have grown up, and breath work is more the energizing, the powerful, the really like feeling techniques. At least that's the ones I've seen practice when people call it breath work. So we'll do that in a little while. And I actually have it's an app. I was just looking for it before we started the meditation, which is why I was a little bit late. And it will make a sound of when to breathe in, and then you stop, breathe out, stop, breathe in, out, and it just guides us. And we'll do that for 10 minutes. And that might make you feel lightheaded. If it does, then just stop doing that and just start focusing on your breath normally. So we shouldn't feel bad from this. We shouldn't... some people can feel anxiety. If it's too much, just open your eyes and just start walking around, turn off the sound, whatever. It's like... we shouldn't put ourselves in a state that's too much for us to handle. So I'll talk a little bit more about that before. But I'll get back to Pyaltaneja. That's a cool name. How does it feel to come back to usual life from monk life? So I was ordained from, let me think if I remember, 2009 to 2015, I think. Yes, 2015. Yeah, that's correct, because I've been together with my my fiance for 10 years, and we got together right after I disrobed. So 2015, I disrobed, and I was ordained 2009. And it was interesting, to say the least. I know quite a few monks who have disrobed and stopped being monks. There was someone asked last sitting we had, how can you stop being a monk? Like, what does that even mean? And I think people don't understand that to be a monk, you have to wear the robes and you have to follow certain vows. And you cannot live in the Buddhist tradition as a lay person in society. That just isn't compatible. So then you disrobe and you go back into society, which is what I did. And I think this is actually something I have to make a video about one day. But the main difference, I think, is the focus that I had while I was ordained and the focus I have now. And what I mean by that is that while I was ordained, I only had one thing that was my main driving direction. The only thing I cared about was my inner practice, my meditation, and what I was going through. And I was really into the intensive meditation where you meditate 8 to like 15 or even 16 hours per day. Like it's very tied up just to meditate, nothing else. And I did that most of the time. And so when you do that, lots of garbage comes up and lots of stuff comes up, and there's so much pain, there's so much anxiety, so much insecurity, so much just random crap that will come up, and pains and joints and like just weird things and experiences. And through all of them, I just said, these are not important. I'm just focusing on what's happening. So I could let go of the idea if something happens to me and I get injured, like I just look past that. I was just focused on my meditation. I sat with pain and I put myself in situations that might not have been the best situations to be in. But my main focus was always on the sitting and the walking meditation. That was what I did. And that was really useful to do for a period of time. I don't recommend people do that for their whole lives. But it can be really useful to do that for a period of time. And it helped me develop my mind in a way that you just can't do that when you do 2, 3, 4, 5 hours during like daily life. It's just not comparable to doing several years of retreats that last for 3 months. It's just a different way. That doesn't mean that, I'm so much better because I've sat so much and you can't have any experience. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that when you meditate that much and your whole life is centered around the meditation and there's nothing else, because I didn't have to make any money. I didn't have to care about anything except for my practice. That was the only thing I focused on. And where would I be next? And I would move to different meditation centers every 3 months, approximately. That was my goal. And I could focus completely on that. And that is really useful in many ways. But it also makes you lack a lot of things, miss a lot of things. It makes your mind extremely sharp. But in the end, you don't have anything to apply it to because you're just sitting in neutrality or calmness. So when I disrobed and I came back to daily life, what I noticed was that life was very different. And I happened to have met someone just as I was disrobing. I met my now fiancée, which was very fortunate. I'm really happy I didn't meet her the year before, because then obviously we couldn't continue since I was living in celibacy, but I had already decided to disrobe when I met her, and then we just really connected, and we got back in contact when I got back home. Stephen, but isn't monastic life the opposite of civilian life? In what way, Stephen? Because there's a lot of opposites, yes, but that's such a broad statement that I can't say yes to that. So coming back into daily life, I noticed that there was... I see, Payaltane, thank you for explaining so beautifully. Where did you stay while you were a monk? Which country state? I spent most of my time in Sri Lanka. I'm half Sri Lankan, and my mother comes from there. So I stayed most of the time in centers in Sri Lanka. I spent, I think, a year in Malaysia. They have some really good Mahasi tradition temples that come from Burma, where they're really, like, if you want to go intensive meditation, that's where you go. And I spent about a year, I think maybe a little bit more, in Plum Village in France, which is a completely different tradition. So I was very fortunate that I got to have this sit or die kind of tradition. It's like everything, people would focus on not sleeping and doing, there's yogic traditions where you sit up and meditate instead of sleeping. So you could take every single minute of every single day focus on meditation. That's how focused people would be on the meditation. And again, that's really useful, but what you get from that is not what most people are looking for, and it most definitely wasn't what I was looking for. And then I got to Plum Village, which focuses on loving kindness and being interactive with other people and doing good in the world and enjoying and appreciating the world around you. It was so important that I got that, because that's part of the reason I got back into daily life. The way of life, no distractions or goals like world. Yeah, okay, so in that regard, yes, it is the opposite, because, well, you have to understand, you don't live as a monk because of Buddhism. I mean, it's become like that, but the main reason the Sangha exists and that it supports monks is that they want you to train and develop this thing here and understand how it works, because you can read about it all day and you can be a scholar. That means pretty much nothing. I mean, they get a lot of attention and fame because of it, but it's kind of useless. What really matters is actually applying these things and observing these things in yourself. So in Buddhism, they consider that to be the purest thing you can do, to meditate and to develop the mind. That means that if a layperson helps someone who's a monk, or even if it's another layperson who wants to practice, that is considered to be good karma, or kamma as it's called in Buddhism. It's considered good, let's just use the word karma because it's what we're used to. It's good for me as a person in future life because I will be doing something good. Because if I can help that person reach enlightenment, I would get lots of good karma from that. So they want people to meditate. And you are a monk with a purpose. Your purpose in the Theravadan tradition is that you should do this really difficult thing, because trust me, I would speak to people here in Sweden, they go like, oh, lucky you. You get to go there, sit on a mountain, be all calm and breathe in the fresh air and sit and meditate all day. Oh my goodness, I wish I had your life. And like, no, you don't. You have no idea what you're talking about. It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I have kids, so I know what I'm talking about. Like, it's tough. It's not easy to live as a monk. Okay, being a parent is up there. It's like, no, seriously, meditating like that it's challenging on a different level. It really is very tough. It's not like you sit and you become calm. You really bring everything up, and you have to look at all the shit you have inside of you, and you face so much stuff. Yeah, so your goal is to do that, and then after you've done that and you've discovered something or you've come somewhere, then you take that and you go back and you share that with the people who supported you, and you help them do the same thing. But obviously that can't go away. But the whole idea is that it's a beautiful symbiosis of how they support you, so you can go away and do this practice, and then you come back and then you help others. Which is like you said, let me just see the way, no distractions or goals like in worldly life. So you do have a goal in a sense, but there's no distractions. You're absolutely right in that. You don't have to worry about the finances. I wasn't even allowed to wash the dishes of my food many times because they wanted me to just focus on this. But that does not mean I could just go there and like sit and eat all the food and go around like playing computer games or my telephone or like randomly just doing stuff. No, there is some expectations of me. And the more into meditation you are or in practicing, the more people want to help you. And I was really serious about meditation. So I had many people who wanted to help me, and I never had a problem. When I came to a center, I could go anywhere. Like you can, as a monk, you can go to any temple and just say, can I spend a night here? And they will accept you. If I went to a temple and they'd say, can I just meditate here a bit? They would always let me in. And I promise you, I could go to any temple and start meditating. They would say, do you want to stay here? Because they love it when someone is serious about meditation. So it's not just random do anything. There is a clear goal, and if you're serious, that is one of the best platforms to do this, but it's not easy. Stephen, I think like some countries have mandatory military service, it should be mandatory monastery life. Yes, that would be much better, and they do, kind of. In Thailand, I always compare that to, in Sweden we had mandatory, we have varningsplikt, it's called it, like you have to go to the military, and it's similar in Thailand, but it's not absolute, but it's expected of most young men that they should go and live as a samanera, a novice monk. I don't remember how long, I think it's like a week or something like that, but it's expected that everyone should do that in their lifetime. At least it was, correct me on this if I'm wrong. Paila, I did go to Chiang Mai and met a few monks in Monk Chat's school. It's a tough life indeed, but the peace they're radiating is admiring. So you have to make a difference also between what's called like temple monks and meditating monks. What I'm talking about is someone who is meditating. There are the possibility to do that. There is a possibility to do that, but it's much more common that you become a temple monk, which means that then you read the scriptures and you help people, and your whole idea is to just be peaceful. For me, this is something completely different. They're more like priests. Priests also radiate silence. Calmness and serenity, but they have not practiced. They have practiced. They know all the scriptures. They follow the precepts, which for me is kind of like, those are just rules to help you practice. They're not the practice itself, but it's become the practice. So many people like that are very good at behaving calm, but when you see what goes on behind the scenes, or when they get stressed, because they live a life without any requirements, or very few requirements, so of course it's easier to not be stressed and live calmly. But the real test would be, what would happen if you put someone like that in daily life, where they have, I would say this, when I was ordained, and I still say, the best way to practice would be to live 1 month in Asia in a center where it's 15 hours of meditation every day and is really, really strict. That's just the meditation, nothing else. From that, you travel to Plum Village in France, where you meet people all over the world, from all over the world, and there's beautiful women, and people dress up differently, and you have to be close to other people. Like, we're very segregated as monks in Asia. But here you're subjected to all the desires and things that can come at you, and you have to learn how to be with other people for 1 month. Then you go back into society and you have a family with a wife who hates you and cheats on you, kids who are absolutely terrible, and a work you hate. And you do that for 1 month. And then you go back to sitting for 1 month, like really intensely, and then you go like that. That would be the absolutely best way of practicing. It would obviously not be practical, and I'm not even sure it would be moral, but the idea is that it's not about just living calmly. It's about training the mind and learning how to live in an environment where things aren't easy. Is not that because that was basically why I disrobed. I noticed that I didn't have much difficult stuff coming up. I could remain neutral if I wanted to. And if I would bring that even further, I would become like a robot. The people that meditated for decades, and they were just like sitting, and then anything came up, they just like were like this. And that's not what I was after. Amelie, was there ever a point where it got too much for you? Many times. Oh my goodness, I've broken down so many times I can't explain it. Yeah, I lost count. The meditating, it was tough. I hope you understand, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful. I mean this because this is what I observed, and I would meet people, monks, who were what we call temple monks, meaning they lived in the cities and they didn't really meditate that much. And I asked them, so how much do you meditate? Like, because that was why I ordained. And they would say, oh, we don't really have time for that because we're so busy doing rites and rituals and helping people and studying. So yeah, right now I don't have time for meditation, but I will do that later. And I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Because I was so convinced that all monks meditate. No, they don't. Most monks don't have time because they're too busy being monks. And that's a beautiful thing, that if that didn't exist, then I think the Sangha would kind of disappear, because people need that religious form of Buddhism as well to keep it alive. And then from that comes these temples where you can go and really be serious with your meditation. And there are people who would say that I'm completely stupid and I'm just disrespectful and I'm very wrong. And these monks are pure, clean, they've never had sex. They were ordained as kids, so they call them virgin monks, or clean, it's called something. And they're better than others because they think it's the whole idea of being a virgin and, not having had sex and living in celibacy and not having money. They believe those are the things, and like, we'll just become homeless and live like in the forest. Like, no one says they're spiritual or special just because they do that. So for me, that was never the thing. And if you believe that's the thing, by all means do that. And I mean, that's awesome. It just doesn't solve the reason for why I was ordained. And I noticed very quickly when I was amongst monks like that they were quite similar to normal people, just that they lived monk lives and they had less responsibilities, so it was easier for them to live a happy life. Religion and spirituality are separate. Yes, unfortunately they are. Really interesting questions today. Thank you for bringing these up. It's the kind of things that I don't think about so much because it's so long since I was ordained. It's 10 years ago that I disrobed. It feels like a different life. Sometimes I almost thought about, I've been just thinking about what to do with my YouTube channels, and that's why I haven't released any videos lately, because I'll be changing the angle a little bit. And one of the things I was seriously thinking about, and I still think it's actually a good idea, was to skip the whole I was a monk part, like a former Buddhist monk, and just skip all of that, because in a way it feels irrelevant, because I'm not a Buddhist. I have the experience of crap ton of meditation I did while I was a Buddhist monk, so it makes sense. And by saying I was a monk, it makes people, oh, okay, well, he probably has something to say, and I mean, that is true, so I did get something from that. But that's not the main thing I teach now. I have my own way of practicing that works really well, and my own focus, which is more on actually enjoying life, not escaping from life or saying life is bad and we want to get somewhere else, but actually teaching people, how do you learn how to teach yourself to be happy for what, like, the life you have. No, that's not true. Not for the life you had, not the story, but for the experience of life that you have, no matter what your life story says. It feels nice to hear you. What prompted you to start the YouTube channel? I was very tired of spiritual people when I disrobed. Scary. It's weird to say, but yeah, I was so tired of people who were spiritual and all the craziness that goes with that, so I disrobed because of that. And I felt like I was just, it didn't really, I came because I wanted to look at these distortions that come up and learn how to actually enjoy being alive. And I felt like I had gotten what I needed from being a monk. And then also I was really tired of people being so lost in spirituality and focusing on, in my opinion, the completely wrong thing, which is manifestation, contacting other dimensions, communicate, becoming light workers. They're just building up their egos in a spiritual sense, instead of actually being here, experiencing this moment. What does it feel like to be here? Not, oh, it's a nice place, I should appreciate. No, but really, what does it feel like to breathe, to smell, to see, to touch, to taste, to be alive? And how can you learn to see that that is enjoyable? So yeah, that was why I started a channel, because I felt like, okay, I no longer, because I had distortion towards that. I was so like, like get under my skin when I heard people just go too far with that. Now it doesn't, because I've looked at that, I've gotten past that, so I'm perfectly fine with people being completely lost in their spiritual path, and that's fine. Like, I realize that's something that most people need to do. I fortunately never got into it in that way, but most people have to go through that and see that, oh, wait a minute, like this doesn't make it doesn't really help my mental health, and it doesn't make me a happier person, so why do I do that? But you need to go through it. A lot of spiritual people are irrelevant. I'm not sure if they're irrelevant, but they're I almost said misguided, but that's such a condescending thing to say. They're focusing on something that will not give them what they believe they want, what they say they want. They say they want to overcome the self and really just be, but what they're doing is building another sense of self that is now, it went from being, oh, this tiny person who's insignificant and don't mean anything, to this person who feels like they're big and huge and they're the universe and they can do anything, endless possibilities, but it's still the feeling that you are there and you need to do something. Instead of, can you not just feel okay with just being? Do you need to do all those things? Do you need to gain anything? Wouldn't it be much better to just learn how to be happy, to be you, to be here, to sit here, no matter what that means. If it means I'm sitting here and I'm having a cup of tea and talking to a lens, or if I'm sitting here and it's dark and it's just a light, or if I'm sitting here with my fiancé and we're having a conversation about poop and vomit from our kids, or about making love. It doesn't matter, like learning how to enjoy life experience. That's what it's all about for me. Nice. So, like I said, really nice questions. Thank you for bringing this up. We'll get into the meditation now, because I did notice that when I was doing the meditations half an hour later, like we had before, I think it's all this bright light. I've been studying a lot about like light, and because I have sleep problems thanks to my herniated disc, so I try to do everything to sleep as much as possible, and I have quite bright lights in my face. So yeah, I'm gonna try actually to make them a bit warmer, maybe take away the blue light. But the reason I said that was because I don't want it to become too late with the meditations, because I really want to have us have a nice time, and then yeah, not have it to be too late. So today we'll do the box breathing, and like I said, whenever we do a 11 p.m. here in India, oh nice, I'm like I said, I'm half Sri Lankan, so it's close to where I think it's 3.5 hours to Sri Lanka. You must be on the west coast, I'm assuming. Wait, what was I saying? Yeah, box breathing, tactical breathing. Whenever we do any kind of manipulative breathing technique where we manipulate the breath in any kind of way, it's important to keep in mind that when we just sit down and we're calm and we observe the breath, let it do whatever it wants, not much is going to go wrong there. I mean, when you do it for a long time, things can come up that are difficult, but it's much easier to handle. When you do any kind of breath work or pranayama, I have to look that up, then you're forcing your body to feel something different, and there can be a lot of energy coming with that. This particular technique is meant to calm you down, is meant to make you feel calm and help from anxiety. So I'm not expecting people to have a hard time, and don't get scared by what I say. I'm just saying this so that you're aware of it, and that if it happens, just stop it. If you start feeling woozy, if you start feeling like some kind of panic or something, just stop it. It's fine. You don't need to continue. Get up, walk around, drink a glass of water. When I felt too bad like that, I loved eating heavy stuff like a hamburger or French fries. I'm not sure if you're able to do that now, but that was one of the best ways if I was really like, in my mind, eat something heavy, some really heavy food, not salads and stuff, but something that brings you down. Again, this is probably over emphasizing that you can get too much energy from this, but I'm just saying it so you know if that would happen. But the technique we'll do is box breathing, tactical breathing. There's other names for it also. Basically, we breathe in on 4, we hold for 4, we breathe out for 4, we hold for 4, we breathe in for 4, we hold for 4, we breathe out for 4, we hold for 4. Just go like this. It's amazing to do in the middle of the night if you wake up, because it really calms you down and makes you. I do. This is one of the few breathing techniques I use regularly, and I do it when I wake up and I want to go back to sleep and I can't. Then I use this as a technique to calm me down and help me fall asleep. I've downloaded an app that's called Paced Breathing. So basically, I'll just play it for you once so you can hear what it sounds like. That's the in-breath. hold, out breath, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, a little bit delayed. So just follow. Could you hear that, by the way? Was that loud enough? I can make it a little bit louder. And I'm going to set the timer. This first time we're going to do 7 minutes because, as I said, it can be quite powerful the first time. So we'll just do it for 7 minutes. And then I think towards the end we might do like a 10-minute session. And it's very interesting. Good, you can hear it. It's very interesting to see what it's like to meditate after. After you've done this and you stop this and you just come back to focusing on your breath normally, that usually changes the awareness and ability you have to be aware. So I will start this again, and I will ring the bell 3 times. We'll start the meditation. It will be on for 7 minutes. Then you'll have 13 minutes to just sit. And we're going to finish quite soon after that, but I'd be very happy to hear if someone has anything to reflect on directly after. Or you can just keep on sitting after. So I will start the sound, and it will carry on for 7 minutes. I will do the first few rounds. I will say what's happening so that you're aware of where it's going, just like I did before. And then you'll continue by yourself. When it finishes, just keep on sitting, and I'll ring the bell again at 20 minutes. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Thank you for a nice sitting. I forgot to mention beforehand that many times I prefer to do rather small breaths. So it's just all through the nose. So it's not like a heavy breathing or a big like breathing. It may have sounded like I did big breaths, but it's actually rather small. We'll take that next Thursday again. I'll discuss it more, and we'll see how it works for everyone. Anyone have anything they wanted to share about it? Then I'll wait a minute before I log off. It's interesting to try different things because all of a sudden you'll find our video is pausing. Yeah, I've had some issues with the stream. Now though it says excellent connection. That's strange. Is anyone else having that problem? It could be the connection to India also. Or it could definitely be on my end as well because I've had some some issues with the stream. Not sure why. Yes, I think that's it. Thank you so much for coming, and as always, I really appreciate the discussions before. It's very enjoyable. I find it fun to hear the questions you have and the things that come up from those discussions. Very useful and entertaining. I hope you'll have... Is it for me or only pausing for everyone else? It might be just for you. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and I will see you back on... Will I see you on Monday? Yes, we will see you on Monday. I'll see you on Monday again. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you then. Thank you. Bye.